What is it, my friend? Welcome to episode number 111 of the Anthony John Amics podcast. This is another Sunday sermon edition. And today I want to talk to you about why you actually may need to judge another person. Now, I know this may sound very counterintuitive. I mean, after all, if you're anything like me, you're probably told not to judge a book by its cover. Well, I'm going to go ahead and flip that on its head so you can step into a whole new level of power and potential inside your life and your business. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Anthony John Amics podcast, the one and only podcast designed to help you become unstoppable in life and business. My name is Anthony John Amics. My friends call me AJ, and my goal with this podcast is to help you remember who you truly are so you can maintain your center in the chaos, embody your potential, and unlock freedom in your life and business. That being said, let's get into today's show.
All right, welcome back. Now, before we get into today's episode, I want to let you know about a free training that I put together for you. Now, it's safe to say that most business leaders feel a sense of inescapable pressure, and they don't really know how to convert the stress into fuel. And as a result, few people achieve the power of true freedom. Now, let's be honest, most entrepreneurs are affected by mental health issues like ADD, ADHD, bipolar disorder, addiction, depression, or anxiety. I mean, it's 72% of entrepreneurs, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. So I created a training to help you out, and this training gives you a process to access limitless ambition, embody higher potential, and actually unlock freedom in your life and business. This way, and you can get instant access to that training by going to trainingwithaj.com. There's no opt-in. There's nothing crazy like that. Simply go to trainingwithaj.com, and you'll find the training immediately available at your fingertips. So head on over there today. So that being said, let's get into today's Sunday sermon, shall we? In Matthew chapter 7, verses 3 through 5, it says, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye,' when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will clearly see how to remove the speck from your brother's eye." Now, if you grew up in the church, you've probably heard this scripture before, like 1,000 bajillion times, and you probably have thought to yourself, like, okay, so whatever. It's not nice to judge people. Okay, whatever. And if you didn't grow up in the church, just hang with me, because regardless of your spiritual path, I'll make this relevant to you. So much so that if you get what I'll teach you today, I guarantee you it will transform your ability to be more whole and complete faster than you can say, well, whatever it is that you say fast. So hang with me here. Back in 2018, I held an event called Uprising 3. Each year, I tried to host 1 to 3 deeply transformational events every single year. I call them Uprising. So it's like Uprising 1, Uprising 2, Uprising 3. We're at Uprising 6 right now. But back in 2018, we added an experiential process to that event called eye gazing. And it's something my co-facilitator, Mr. Jonathan Heston, wanted to add into the event. Now at Uprising, I'm all about whatever it takes to get the participants to a breakthrough. So I was like, yo, you want to add in eye gazing? Like, if you feel it's going to help our people get results faster, like, I'm 100% in with that. So here we were in 2018. We had 5 participants at the event. Now, we keep this event small very purposefully because it's how we can guarantee the level of results that we're getting from this deep dive event. Because we typically collapse 10 to 15 years of personal development breakthroughs and integrations into 3.5 days. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's just like the incredible transformation that always unfolds at the event. Like, it's mind-blowing. So during this process called eye gazing, we'd have the participants pair up and stare into each other's eyes for like 4 minutes. Not in some weird intimidation way, like rather you're there like where one person would allow themselves to be as present as they could be with the other person and loop into what they're feeling. And really feel and experience what they're feeling as they're with this other person. Now, very few people, they typically don't really allow themselves to be vulnerable enough to just be with another human. And when they do, they start to learn things about themselves. See, John Maxwell coined the phrase the law of the mirror, and in that he proposes the origin of our own negative feeling towards another person is within our heart and not in the other person. Meaning the feelings that we feel are born from within ourselves, not from the other person. Like ultimately, we're the ones responsible for our thoughts or feelings and the beliefs that we create. So if we're talking with someone and we start feeling angry about something they said, like that anger is about something within us. It's not really about them. Now, very few people realize this. So here we are running this event where we had about 5 participants. Well, we did have 5 participants. And we wanted to put them through this experience known as eye gazing. And since we had an odd number of people, I chose to step in and participate, so we had even pairs. And I was teamed up with a guy who was a lot older than me. And up to this point, I really struggled to see myself as a king, like as a grown man, as someone who wasn't a child. Now, this is a crazy dichotomy for me to just share with you and want to become aware of. Like back then, I knew I wasn't a child in theory. I'd built business, made hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yet the truth I felt in my body was I didn't feel like a responsible adult. Like a truth in my body, how I saw myself, I felt more like a young 20-something punk kid or something. And unknowingly, this had a dramatic impact on my business and my marriage. Because up to that point, I was terrified of like other people finding out that I doubted myself. I was afraid that they would find out that I felt inadequate. And I was definitely totally terrified of being weak. Now, like most people, I put up a good front, yet deep down, I was scared. And honestly, I didn't really realize how much fear I really had underneath the surface. Now, one of the gifts of the Uprising, the event that I hold, is that we guide people into the areas that they don't know about themselves. And this is why our participants get such incredible results. See, up until that point in 2018, my fear of what others thought about me was leading my every decision. It was impacting my ability to coach with power, to lead with power, to be married from a place of power and lead the marriage and have peace and help my wife feel safe. And it was impacting my ability to feel connected to other people because deep down, I was afraid of being dominated by the responsibility of my marriage and of my business. And that fear of being dominated by the responsibility of things was playing out subconsciously for me for many, many, many years. And that day in 2018, when I looked into that man's eye who had a solid career, who was married with children, I saw a man, a responsible, vulnerable, powerful man. And in being with the man in him, I realized I was being with the man in me. That day in 2018, tears of gratitude flowed down from my eyes. Tears of appreciation for seeing myself for who I truly was. That day I saw abundance, I saw power, I saw resolve, I saw masculinity. I saw a responsible man capable of wielding my sword and my kingship so I could rule the kingdom that I felt called to. And then on the final day of that event in 2018, I led the participants through an experience that we call the Becoming Meditation. It's an experience that guides people into who they are called to be, not what their mind and their ego convinces them of, but what they are truly called to be, what they are truly called to create. It's a very powerful experience. And as I sat in the corner watching each participant journal out their answers, I remember looking over at each participant and I had a realization. Every single participant there was a character that was playing out in my head as one of my inner critics. The man who thought he had to work hard to get results was the part in me who thought I had to work hard to get results. Like that inner critic in me, in my own mind, is the one who's like, Amyx, you're not doing enough. You got to get to work. You got more work to do. Let's go, let's go, let's go. The woman who felt like the world was against her was a part of me who I felt like the world was against me. She manifested as another inner critic in my own mind where things like said like, what if you're not enough? What if you fail? What if this? What if that? Man. Like every single participant at the event was a mirror of a part of me that I hadn't fully accepted and loved. You see, that day, as all of the participant journaled, I chose to be with and accept those parts of me. I didn't try to change them or transform them. Rather, I just chose to be with them, to witness them. And in the being with them, I accepted them. And I brought healing to those parts of me that were in myself. And as a result, I shed a layer of needing to prove or defend to any human being on the planet. And I experienced another layer of freedom to just be me, which in turn directly correlated in my ability to coach, to market, and sell more powerfully, not to mention the increased ability to connect with my wife and those around me at a deeper level. You see, giving myself permission to judge another human, like just aligning with that truth, not like out loud, like, hey, you're this or that. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about giving myself permission to align with the truth of like, yo, I'm judging this person to be a workaholic. I'm judging this person to being a victim. By me allowing myself to judge that in my own mind and my own awareness was so different than how I was raised. Because growing up, we were taught not to judge people. I was told not to judge a book by its cover. Yet part of the beingness of being human is that we do judge books by their covers. In fact, I'll have you consider it's partly how we are hardwired to survive. Like we perceive threats and we make judgments to keep us alive. Yet the problem with only seeing judgment in that manner is it limits our evolution and growth. So when Jesus said, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all of the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will clearly see how to remove the speck from your brother's eye. I don't believe the dude was saying don't judge. Rather, I think he was just saying like, yo, dude, if you spot it, you got it. Like if you find yourself pointing the finger saying she's a little bitch, the reality is you're a little bitch. Thing is she's just not afraid to express it. You probably are. If you find yourself pointing the finger saying, hey, he's a dick, the reality is you're probably a dick. That dude just has enough courage to express and fight for his desires while you don't. See, one of the greatest gifts I've given myself and that I teach my clients is to align with the truth of their judgments about others and humanity. For in the alignment of their judgments, they can turn those judgments on themselves to see what plank are they not seeing. And once they see that plank in their own eye, they can then take responsibility for it. They can then go out and do the work to bring healing and integration to those parts of themselves to bring themselves back into wholeness, which in turn helps them to tap into more of their innate power and potential, which then immediately transfers into their ability to experience more freedom, more connection, more peace, and more success. So what's the lesson here? I'd invite you to consider the next time you find yourself judging someone, remember, the world is a mirror. Like when you find yourself pointing the finger in judgment, remember there are 3 fingers pointing right back at you. My good friend Christopher John Stubbs, he made a Facebook post just the other day talking about judgment. And in his post, he said there have been 3 words that have led to huge breakthroughs and transformations for him personally. And those 3 words were, just like me. She's a bitch, just like me. He's an arrogant prick, just like me. He's a whiny little bitch, just like me. Like when you choose to start seeing people and the world around you for what it is, a mirror, you can leverage the world as a catalyst for your own growth. So my invitation to you this day is this. Where in your life, where in your business are you judging people? And what does it mean about you? I can guarantee you, if you're willing to take on what I'm sharing with you today, it will help you evolve your soul and step into a whole new level of peace, power, and profits. Well, my friend, that's all I have for this episode of the Anthony John Amyx podcast. If you know someone who needs to hear this episode, send it over to them in their DM, screenshot it and share it on social media, send them an email, text message, whatever you have to do to get this episode into their ear holes. Also, keep the 5-star reviews coming over on iTunes because that is what helps get this show found by more people. That way they too can break through to a whole new level of freedom, purpose, and success. So thank you so much for being here. Until next time, my friend, I'm out. Peace.
Well, that's all I've got for this episode of the Anthony John Amyx podcast, but we have plenty more to help you become unstoppable in life and business. So head on over to ajamyx.com for exclusive resources, information, and tools to help you break through to a new level of freedom, purpose, and success. I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Bye for now.